City of Angels. More than just a name for Los Angeles, it's also the name for a classic 1998 film in which Nicolas Cage plays an angel who falls in love with Meg Ryan. The movie itself had mixed reviews with a current Rotten Tomatoes score of 58% and an average IMDb rating of 6.7 out of 10. What did not have a mixed reaction was the soundtrack made for this film, which debuted at number 23 on the Billboard 200 chart. City of Angels producer Bob Cavallo and his son, music producer Rob Cavallo, held an advanced screening of the movie, which they both invited musicians to attend. Father Bob invited Alanis Morissette. Son Rob invited the Goo Goo Dolls. The day after the showing, both Morissette and Goo Goo Dolls frontman John Resnick had written songs and submitted them to the Cavallos for the soundtrack. Given the swift turnaround from both these musicians, one might assume that the movie had impressed them, but for Resnick, this was hardly the case. Quote, I didn't actually think it was very good. I just thought it was a sanitized version of Wim Wendler's 1987 film, Wings of Desire. But one of the reasons I wanted to do a song was because the soundtrack had U2 and Peter Gabriel on it, and I wanted to be on the same piece of plastic as them. It made me feel like I was hobnobbing with music royalty. I thought that someday I could show it to my kids, tell them their old man was once on a record with Bono and Peter Gabriel, explained Resnick. All right. So maybe you're thinking Resnick knocked out a song as quickly as possible so he could have his name on the same album as a couple of members of music royalty. It's possible, but to hear it from the songwriter himself, it seems like the song coming together was an act of God. Quote, most of the time for me, writing involves procrastination, fear, doubt, criticism. Most songs I write, I have to torture myself, be a prima donna for about an hour. But this song came so easy. I'd broken 2 strings on my guitar, so I started winding all the strings up and down in these weird configurations, and that song just came out. It was like a gift, like, oh, thanks, God, said Resnick. The completed song shot up to number 1 in Australia, Canada, and Italy, but only reached number 9 on the Billboard Hot 100 due to the rules of that time. The track was not initially available as a commercial single when it was released in April 1998, which disqualified it from the Billboard Hot 100, but it was allowed on the Billboard Hot 100 Airplay chart, where it spent 18 weeks at the number 1 spot. In December 1998, 8 months after the song's initial release, the rules were changed and the song hit the number 9 spot. If you were alive in 1998, there's no chance that you don't know this song, but there's a good chance you don't know its name. You might think it's something like, I just want you to know who I am, but you couldn't be more wrong. In fairness, Resnick essentially pulled the name out of thin air in an attempt to mimic the, quote, pretentious naming conventions of alt-rock contemporary, the Smashing Pumpkins. Quote, I'm horrible at naming songs, so it's the last thing I do. I was looking through a magazine called LA Weekly and saw that a great singer-songwriter called Iris Dement was playing in town. I was like, wow, what a beautiful name, said Resnick. That's right. We're talking Iris by Goo Goo Dolls on Cover Me.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just...
That's right, it's Cover Me, the only podcast that compares famous songs to their many cover versions to find out which one would give up forever to touch you. I'm your host, as always, The Snake, joined by my made-to-be-broken co-host,
Alex Mildenberger.
Alex Mildenberger. What's going on?
Just busting. Breaking.
What?
You know. Broke them.
Does it make you feel good, Alex, to be busted?
I feel great. Over here in the City of Angels.
Here in the City of Angels.
By Windy City, we call it.
The Windy City, yeah. The city by the bay, the city that never sleeps.
The Emerald City, yeah.
The Emerald City, that's
Tinseltown.
The one. Yep. What other good city names are there?
Some, probably.
Silver City is a theater.
It's a theater. Is it a place as well?
A series of multiplexes, a franchise of multiplexes.
The City of Gold. That's
El Dorado. That's where you're broadcasting from right now.
Yeah.
Tight. Love to see it, because you were dropping pure gold on audio format here, Alex.
I'm glad.
Unmarketable May begins/continues.
/continues with another big hit song.
Another big hit song. And this one, for sure, if you'd asked me the name, even though I have known that this was the name several times in my life, I'd still have trouble remembering it.
Yeah.
Like Iris, I'd be like, which one is that? And then you'd sing it, I'd be like, oh, yeah.
I kind of have a couple years back, I looked this up and sort of made a deal of remembering the name.
Okay.
And part of the reason I can remember it is we have these oven mitts from IKEA, which around the same time we learned this. It was myself and my roommates that we learned this was the name of this song. I happened to notice that was also the name of these oven mitts because IKEA names all their products things. So if you look at the tag, it says Iris on it. Okay. Obviously, most products are named, but anyway, in the way IKEA does. So I do remember the name of the song, but what happens is if I haven't listened to it for a while, I remember that there is a song named Iris. I remember that it's not obvious, but I don't necessarily remember which song it is.
Okay.
So it flips it around. So if I hear it, I'm like, oh, this is Iris.
Yeah.
But if I just have the name in my head, I'm like, oh, how does it go again? Damn.
How does it go? No, you should write a parody track regarding like pulling something out of the oven so you'll always remember it.
I'll always remember.
And I don't want the something to burn me because I don't want to hurt my hands. You put on your oven mitts. It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
Needs a little work, but it's okay.
Hey, we can workshop it. We can
workshop it. Alex, are you I know the answer is no, but are you a Goo Goo Dolls
Goo Goo Dolls fan? I was looking up their other songs, and I don't really recognize them.
Yeah, what is their next biggest hit?
Slide, also off this album. I think I vaguely recognize it, and they had another one called Name. Those are kind of the big three that are their hits.
Slide, Name.
Okay. And I was like, yeah, that kind of sounds familiar, but I don't know.
Okay, it sounds kind of similar, Slide, but it's also like it just kind of sounds like Iris.
Yeah, I don't know. It also sounds like a certain era of like alt rock, and I'm like, could I just be confusing with something else?
You could tell me this is Hootie and the Blowfish, and I'd be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, no, I wouldn't say I'm a Goo Goo Dolls fan. What's your history with Goo Goo Dolls?
So my history with Goo Goo Dolls is I was briefly dating a woman in 2013. And you're getting to know her. I was like, "What's your favorite like band?" And she's like, "Oh, the Goo Goo Dolls." And I was like, okay. Like maybe I will go out of my way to check this out." So I was into like downloading whole discographies off of the internet, very legally, mind you.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was like, "Let me get all this on here, and I'll try it out." And I like listened. And I was like, "Oh, this fucking sucks." I'm not liking it at all, and that's pretty much where it starts and ends with me for Goo Goo Dolls.
Okay.
I will admit that this song, I don't know if it's just because it got a lot of radio play or what, but it definitely has a place in pop culture, if not in my heart.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's just been around so long. Like this song gets stuck in my head often enough, and I'm like, and you kind of sing along, and if it's playing, it's a good one to sing along to. But I'm also like, do I like this song? I don't know. I think so.
Yeah, or is it just like it's been around so long? It's just like I can't dislike it.
I've synthesized. It's just like a part of life.
Yeah, it's just a part of reality. As much as breathing and shit, and it's like also Iris is sometimes here.
Yeah, also sometimes Iris. Yeah, so like, I don't know. I accept it and enjoy it when it happens, but it's not something I go out of my way to experience.
No.
Because I don't need to, really. Like, it comes on, I say often enough, when we just play our, like, random, like, hey,
hey,
assistant, play some music for me. And then this occasionally comes up.
Now, for those of you at home, Alex isn't talking about, like an Alexa or a Siri or anything like that. He has an actual assistant.
Yeah, I have a person who just, like, plays
someone
guitar.
to make stuff on the fly.
I'm like, hey, play some music. And they're like, I'm tuning 1 minute.
Alex has got another assistant feeding him grapes. It's quite a luxurious life.
I got people. Yeah.
Alex, next question. Have you ever heard of in your life Iris DeMent?
No.
The singer who this is named after? Me neither.
No. Where did you say she was from? Was she like...
She's a country folk singer-songwriter, so I'm going to assume America.
Right. For some reason, I thought you had said she was like Swedish or something. Still thinking about Sweden a lot. Iris?
Iris? That could be a Swedish name.
Dement. No, I don't know who this is.
Iris DeMent almost sounds like a stage name, like she could hang out with Alice Cooper.
Yeah, and
she's like demented, bro.
Well, she was one of the little Dement sisters when she was young. Yeah. No, her. I don't know who this is. I don't know her music.
Okay, Alex, final question for you. City of Angels, you seen it?
City of Angels. I was thinking about. I was looking it up on streaming last night, but it's like a Warner Bros. Thing, and I don't have their wHBO
whatever
Max,
their services.
I believe is theirs. So I don't even know if it's on
tower.
There. Just the water tower. So no, I haven't seen it, but I mean, it's a Nick Cage movie. It's a Nick Cage movie about Nick Cage being an angel.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll check it out one day. If it's
maybe. Well, available. It sounds like you should check out the movie it's based on. Wings of
German
Desire.
one. Yeah, that one I also looked up because it's foreign, so I thought it might be on some of my like other streaming apps, specifically Canopy, but it wasn't.
Oh yeah, Canopy is a good like one to go to for something that might not make sense to be anywhere else.
Yeah, that's where I go. I'm like, oh, it's an old movie or like weird, obscure foreign thing. They might have it. Good thing I have a library card.
I can watch. Having fun isn't hard.
Oh, Mars Attacks is on there. Okay, sorry, I need to stop.
Okay, Alex, this wasn't an excuse for you to start shopping for movies.
Yeah, it is time to focus on this song, Iris, which is about eyes.
Quickly, I will say that my partner Greta told me that she loved City of Angels growing up, loved the film. And spoiler alert for people who haven't seen City of Angels, Meg Ryan dies. So, like, Nick Cage descends from heaven to, like, live a mortal life with her. And then they, like, bone down. And he's like, what do pears taste like? She's like, I'll get you some pears. She, like, explains pears to him. And then she goes to grocery shop and gets hit by a car.
While getting pears.
Yeah, because you see, like pears shoot out of the fucking bag or whatever.
As she gets smushed by a car.
Yeah, it was a steamroller. She gets smushed. It's oddly cartoonish.
It's also, I mean, if you like, the song is clearly about the movie. I don't know the plot of the movie very well.
Yeah,
because I haven't seen it. But like, you can pick out little things. Where it's like, oh, it's about like an angel who like can't connect to people or whatever.
Well, yeah, because that's like the angel laws. You can't interfere, I guess, too much or like touch or feel things.
It's the prime directive.
It's the prime directive. Yeah, it's Star Trek laws.
Yeah.
But yeah, he descends to Earth. He decides to be mortal to bone down on her and like to be in love with her. Then she dies, and he's still like, it was worth every second. I'll do it again. I'll do it all again. And presumably, I hope he eats a pear at some point.
I hope he gets that pear.
Yeah, like, he comes to the crime scene. He's like,
sees her body, pears strewn about. He just sadly picks up a pear. It's full of dirt and gravel, and he just eats it, but it's crunchy.
He's like, she lied. It's not very good.
It's like, is this what all pears are like?
Wow, pears suck. Goes back to being immortal. Yeah, so on that, John Resnick says this. I was thinking about the situation of the Nicolas Cage character in the movie. This guy's completely willing to give up his own immortality just to be able to feel something very human. And I think, wow, what an amazing thing it must be to love someone so much that you give up everything to be with them. That's a pretty heavy thought.
How about that thought?
Yeah, I like how he comments on his own thoughts. He's like, it's pretty heavy shit, right?
That's like, I was in a class one time and there was a guy who asked a lot of questions, and one time he was like about to ask a question. He's like, I have a question, and then like stopped himself and was like, it's a pretty good question actually. I'm like, why would you say that? Just ask the question.
My other ones.
Like, I'll decide if it's a good question, okay? Like, that's up to me.
Listen, it's a pretty good question I've got cooking here. I don't know if you're ready for it. That rocks. Good for that guy.
Yeah, so, I'm sure it was a great question.
I'm sure it was, because you remember that and not just prefacing it.
More on that later.
Right now, the lyrics. And I'd give up forever to touch you, because I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't want to go home right now.
Okay, so obviously it's about the movie, right?
Yeah, it's very clearly like, I mean, yeah, on base level, this is literally what Nick Cage does in the movie.
Yeah. He gives up his immortality to become human for Miss Ryan. And but of course it throws in this line, you're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be. It's like, oh, it doesn't matter. He doesn't need to be in heaven, which is where the angels come from.
Yeah.
Because it's even better to be with Meg Ryan, which I've never met Meg Ryan, but that sounds pretty great.
She was highly sought after in the 90s for sure.
Yeah.
City of Angels, Sleepless in Seattle, others.
Others probably.
For sure. I just can't remember the names right now. He says, you're the closest to heaven I'll ever be, and knowing he's Nick the Angel Cage, and I don't want to go home right now. Home is literally heaven.
Yeah.
So she's closer to heaven than the real deal.
So it's way better. Now, then, of course, there's the not just the movie version of it, where it's, like he said, giving up everything because you love someone so much, just to be with them. And he doesn't want to go home. It doesn't matter, you know. Everything's better when they're with that person.
Yeah, does it become... There's an episode of Flight of the Conchords where Brett writes a love song where he's like, I'd climb the highest mountain, I'd do all these things. And Jermaine's like, well, would you actually do any of those things? He's like, no.
Yeah.
And is that kind of similar to I'd give up forever to touch you? It's like, you don't even have forever. So what does it matter that you would say you'd do that?
Right. It's like, I would do it, but I don't have it. So like, it's a very poetic thing to say, right? Like, if I had this great thing, it wouldn't matter because I would prefer to actually be with you. Like, I would give it up. But it's like, well, you're not actually making that decision, so you don't know.
Yeah, so you don't really know.
I feel like there are times when I have had conversations with people when I've said things like that, and people look at you funny when you say that, and you're like, well, I like to think I would behave that way in that specific situation, but like, I don't actually know what I'd do. Like, I might be like really shitty, and they're like, look at you kind of funny.
You're like, so, honestly, I just don't think the One Ring would corrupt me. I just wouldn't let it corrupt my mind and spirit.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I would simply not get corrupted by the ring. I don't know what to say. It's like, well, I don't know. I've never borne that sort of burden. Like, you know, it's a tricky situation.
It's tricky, but I guess the sentiment's nice, right? I give up forever to touch you.
It's nice. It's a nice
I know
thought.
that you feel me somehow.
But like, it's worth it to me that I would give up this really great thing because you're even better. But it's also like, well, if they're even better,
yeah,
you're just picking the better of two things, right?
Yeah, I would pick better things over worse things. Is that?
I don't know. Is it that? Anyway, the point is, he's making a tough decision.
He's like, listen, a lot of people would not give up forever to touch you.
Although
I understand that viewpoint, but I would.
The opposite,
Mm-hmm.
experience. I just finished reading The Silmarillion, and near the end, Elrond's father, Eärendil, does kind of the opposite because he's given the choice to either live among elves or men, and the person he loves chooses to live among elves, and he's like tired and wants to die basically, and he's like, no, I want to be with you more, and he chooses to live among elves and be a star, like in the sky. Anyway, so just an example of the opposite.
So is the movie A Star Is Born actually about the Silmarillion? Is it an adaptation?
Yeah, it's about Eärendil taking one of the Silmarils on his flying magic boat into the sky.
Fuck yeah, that rocks. I give up forever to touch you because I know that you feel me somehow. Touch and feel. Hey, there's two. It's a little
it's like it means the same thing,
there.
but it's like not. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think you feel me on an emotional level.
In the movie, does he not interact with Meg Ryan prior to becoming human? Like, what? How does he just like see her? Because I mean, not to get too much into the music video too early, but that seems to be what it implies.
Yeah, where he's in his like panopticon tower of telescopes.
He's like watching. So if that's what Nick Cage is doing, I don't know. We'll have to see the movie at some point.
Is that in Meg Ryan's contract that she was never allowed to meet the dude she was in love with in movies?
In movies in the 90s? It must have been. Because, that absolutely also happens in Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
For anyone not familiar with Sleepless
in Seattle.
Anyone not
familiar with two classic 90s films.
90s rom-coms. Wait, it might not be a com. City of Angels?
Certainly rom.
Certainly rom.
Roms and coms tend to go together pretty well.
They do. Can you do just rom without a little calm.
Yeah, a romantic drama. Usually people die.
Yeah,
in
I
those,
guess so.
think. Which I guess might
Like
be City of Angels. You know what? I'm gonna say City of Angels probably not calm.
Not calm. Yeah, not calm. If they die in the end, it's a tragedy, right? They get married. It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Yeah, that's the Shakespeare rule.
Shakespeare rule. All right, so that's that verse. That's what we.
That's that verse.
Is there much there? I don't know, honestly. Like,
there's as much as you need there.
As much as you need. Yeah.
The grand sentiment of love is the overall thing.
Yeah.
I love you so much, baby. Heaven, that's bullshit.
And also a bit of the like love is suffering in the sense of like love, maybe a little like love conquers all, right? You have to sacrifice for love, exactly.
Yeah.
But like it's better.
That's right. It makes it taste all the sweeter. Speaking of taste, and all I can taste is this moment, and all I can breathe is your life. And sooner or later, it's over. I just don't want to miss you tonight.
Just don't want to miss you tonight. So it does.
Don't want to miss a thing.
Whoa, you're getting ahead of us.
Yeah,
we're getting ahead of ourselves now. So the first two lines to me is like pretty general, like poetry line, like romantic poetry.
Right.
Like this is the most important moment because we're together.
Yeah.
And don't need oxygen. All I need is your life, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's more important than these really important things.
Exactly. Yeah. We go from again, it's contrasting with Forever from the beginning. He's right. He's like, all I can taste and like feel, and the only thing giving me life is this moment with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is what matters. Being in the present. Doesn't matter that we're gonna die because it says sooner or later it's over. So he's like, I don't want to miss you tonight while you're still young and hot. Is that the implication, or just that he loves him so much doesn't want to miss any moments?
So yeah, it's tonight. Often the concept of tonight or like the moment is used just be like we're like this moment is the most important thing because we're together, and like the future doesn't matter, the past doesn't matter.
Right. And tonight, weirdly enough, implies romance more than like today would.
That's true. Tonight absolutely does, because tonight's when sexy times happen.
That's right. Real sex hours. Who's up?
Sex hours. Who's up? Sex hours.
All right.
All right. I guess, and the other, like, the more literal film thing is like,
she gets hit by
I don't
a car.
know. Well, I don't know how it is represented in the film, but like he comes from this place of being an immortal and maybe not experiencing mortal things such as taste, like pears, right?
Right. So he lives through her in a more literal sense.
Yeah, and like he doesn't need to breathe, maybe, or like I'm sure he does because he's still played by a human actor. But like he's an angel.
Nicolas
so like
Cage, the actor.
Nicolas Cage, the actor, needs to breathe, but the angel Castiel or whatever. No, Seth. Am I reading the right thing? Whatever his name is in Seth. He's one of many angels.
All the City of Angels heads are going to come after us.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So like he wouldn't need, theoretically, like breath and taste, and like that's a human experience, right? Because you need like a body.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's also what it's referring to.
So right, he literally lives through her, and then like metaphorically, love is sometimes living through another person, right?
Yeah, and love is what causes him to gain life because he is immortal, which is kind of not alive, kind of.
It's like unlife because he apparently can't feel or touch things or smell.
So he gained. Is that actually happened in the movie? Because if it did, that would totally support my point. Because I've been guessing.
Yeah, I believe that is correct. Because because the scene where they bone down, she goes out to get murdered by a car, and he like experiences basic human things like breathing and showering.
He's like, wow, this is amazing, and then never sees Meg Ryan again.
Yeah, because he just gets stuck in the shower.
That movie's 2 hours long, eh?
Yeah, 2 hours. 1 hour, then another hour. 2 hours, baby.
Wow. Well, almost 2 hours. Anyway, I'd be curious to see it, but I'm also like, it's a bit long for that.
Yeah, for like what I feel could be a short story, like not even a novella, just like like a 10-pager.
I don't know, man.
But hey.
We're like criticizing a movie we've never seen
We've never seen, sure, but...
I know, I love it. This is great. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, but it's funny to think of what we're doing.
Yeah, it could be we're gonna like watch it. We're gonna have to watch it now because people are like, you don't talk shit about City of Angels
City
like
of Angels.
that.
The classic 90s romantic fantasy film, City of Angels.
City of Angels walked so Lord of the Rings could run. or whatever, or fly.
Yeah. Like, while it was running, they got picked up by Gwai here, the eagle.
It's fucking nice reference to Gwai here.
Yeah, I've been deep in the Lord of the Rings lately.
Deep in it. So Gwai here, what does he play bass for the Eagles or?
Yeah, well, he's like their third bassist.
Oh, okay, right on. Yeah. We come to the chorus now, Alex, and I don't want the world to see me because I don't think that they'd understand when everything's made to be broken. I just want you to know who I am.
Yeah, again, movie reference. Kind of.
Because the world literally can't see him.
Yeah, can't see him, but also like he needs to stay secret because like I'm an angel, we protect him from the shadows or whatever.
Yeah.
And like they literally couldn't comprehend the concept of infinity, like, right?
Right, because he's an angel.
That's probably not what it means, but that is also literally true, I think.
Yeah.
And of course the other side, like, of just this like bashfulness, kind of like the private nature of romance, right?
Right.
Like people wouldn't understand our love or something because he's already giving us these incredible things.
Specifically referring to himself rather than their love, but I guess like their love is a part of him because I don't think they'd understand me. I don't want the world to see me because I don't think they'd understand.
Nobody understands
me, bro.
It's kind of, I mean, it's 98, which is like emo's developing. I feel like this feeds into that.
This feeds into that. Some people have suggested that, you know, like I just want you to know who I am was a big line for the queer community, making this maybe perhaps a gay anthem.
Maybe it could
be. It could be perceived in that light.
I didn't look it up on the gay anthem Wikipedia page.
Is that
yeah,
could be there. I just want you to know who I am. The idea that, you know, it's not worth. And this maybe is he's apparently also going through a divorce at this time. Jeremy Resnick, not the angel Seth.
Although honestly, Nick Cage possibly also around the same.
Possibly also, but specifically Jeremy Resnick. He's like, I was going through a divorce and I just met another person. So I can see this being like the rock star being like, I don't want the world to see me, even though they see me perform on stage. Because I don't think they'd understand me. Everything ends, including my last relationship, but I want you to know who I am. So he's talking to this new woman he's with. He's like, I just want us to work out. I don't care about the rest of this.
Right, doesn't matter.
It's got that level.
This is the most important thing.
Yeah. So when everything's made to be broken, like Meg Ryan was by a car in this movie, that's
right. Everything falls apart. Everything. Something about entropy. Everything.
Yeah, all we are is dust in the wind.
All we are is dust in the wind,
etc. Yeah, it's again the big ideas of this are trading forever for, you know, the opposite of that, temporaneousness, being temporary.
Yeah, but you make the moments worthwhile.
Yeah.
By being with the people you love.
Love, exactly.
Yeah.
But Alex, you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your lies when everything feels like the movies. Yeah, you bleed, just to know you're alive.
It's about a movie.
Wait a minute!
It's a meta reference. Or
is this his review of the film? He's like, oh fuck, I would cut myself just to feel something because this movie blows ass.
Yeah, that was the bleed just to know you're alive. The like harm. I mean, that's a common
your
sentiment.
Other emo
that was something I remember hearing a lot of in like junior high and high school. I don't know if that's still as in the forefront of consciousness.
Yeah,
but maybe,
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just remember people talking about that a lot. But it was in a lot more music, I think.
Yeah, this like feel the pain to feel. That makes sense coming out of like the 90s.
I just remember a lot of like music videos with razor blades in them. I don't know, man. Anyway.
I don't know. Yeah, I believe that though. But yeah, that's so he's saying here, you can't fight the tears, so you can't fake it. You can't fake the funk on a nasty dunk, Alex. And you can't make fake tears. You can't fight tears that aren't showing up.
Yeah, that's an interesting line because, like, is it part of him being an angel and not being able to feel, or is it like the feeling of like you're so upset you can't like express it?
Right.
You know, of that like you're very sad, but like you feel like you should be crying, but for some reason you're unable to feel anything because you're like, what's the word?
Numb.
Yeah. You've become so numb.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense, right? Because then he says when everything feels like the movies, which seems to be a bit of like dissociation, right?
Yeah, but also like it's about a movie, bro.
Brother, this is about a film. Yeah, we're playing on multiple levels here.
At least
So yeah, I guess maybe that is the idea. Is like whatever. I think it is about a numbness, maybe.
Yeah, and then of course the final line kind of ties that together. Like we said,
Yeah,
pain just reassures you that you can feel anything at all.
Yeah.
Which again, a sentiment I've heard a lot.
Right. The moment of truth in your lies. Yeah, the fuck does this mean, Alex?
The moment of truth in your lies. Well, I can tell you this. Juxtaposition.
There you go. Is he saying like, is he saying I can't fight this feeling anymore? Is that what it is?
Feeling.
I don't think it is. The moment of truth in your life. So you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moment of truth in your life. So these things, you cannot help but tell the truth even when you lie, and you cannot.
Yeah, because I think when he says yours, like he's talking about himself again. Like you can't fight the tears. You can't fight, like he's talking about perhaps that his life is full of or made up primarily of lies.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's just this power in love that creates a truth that he must live. It's a bit vague.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Vague. I mean, about as much as the moment of truth in your lies, Alex.
Well, I was hoping to make a little more sense as an explanation of it.
Yeah, I think it's, you bleed just to know you're alive. He's talking about feeling numb, about how you can't lie to yourself, I guess. That's what he's saying. That's both, you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, and the moment of truth in your lies is kind of like saying you cannot lie to yourself, right?
I guess
you can't force yourself to cry or fight fake tears. You can't hide from yourself, brother.
Eventually you'll have to face the truth.
The truth that you're in love?
That you're in love? Yeah, this part is like the sad part. I'm like, is this the one where he's sad because Meg Ryan died?
Oh, maybe that's it.
Or is this like him, I can't deny this love, like it's such an imperative that he pursues this love. Like he's in his tower looking down and he's he's physically unable to continue to convince himself to stay. Like he has to.
Right, so he can't keep living this life without Meg Ryan. Or, what his woman, and so because that's like the hollow. This is again in verse 2. He talks about living and breathing and tasting through this other person.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why he's like, I can't fight this. Also, we talked about love as sacrifice. Is that you bleed just to know you're alive, or is that him being like, if I continue to live this hollow life, I will harm myself to feel. So it's better to give in to love.
To me, it's not like it feels like a self-harm reference.
Mm-hmm.
So my instinct would be to interpret it as he needs to do something about his depression or his
right. Because in this life before Meg Ryan, he's feeling hollow and maybe self-destructive.
Yeah.
Because everything feels laid out before him like the movies. It's all been plotted out. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing about movies is you don't have any control over it. And it's also a disconnect.
Yeah, dog. And then that's it for unique pieces of
it's a lot of choruses.
A lot of choruses in this, dog. So there you go, Iris.
Wanting to know who he is.
Who is he? He's Johnny Resnick.
Johnny. Seth the Angel.
Nicolas Cage. Apparently a popular wedding song. Avril Lavigne picked it for the first dance at her wedding to Sum 41 frontman Derek Whibley in 2006.
How about that?
They divorced in 2010.
Yeah, they didn't last too long. And then I think she married Chad Kroger after that.
Yeah.
I don't think that lasted very long either.
No, probably not.
Anyway, I was looking up Nick Cage's marriages. There have been quite a few.
Many? Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. That dude's something else. But speaking of marriage, let's talk about what's married to these lyrics, and that's noises, Alex.
Yes, we have combined noise and lyrics to make an entirely new thing. It's incredible.
Buckle in, everybody. Alex, I want to tell you first that this is in 3/4 waltz time, just like Piano Man.
Yeah, thanks for... I didn't notice that, which often I'll point things like that out, but it is.
I only point these things out when they're like on Wikipedia for me to know.
But yeah, I think the reason I didn't notice it, it's not very waltzy. Like if you listen to the bass, it just plays on the one.
Yeah.
So it's not really strong in the rhythm department or in the beat.
Yeah, it's like the beat is disguised because like the biggest feature is this mandolin played by session guitarist Tim Pierce.
Yeah, that's a big one. A lot of that strumming. The other thing they have going on is so there's also like it says that's the mandolin strumming most of the time then?
Yes.
So it's kind of like a really soft strumming that I thought was like a guitar that they weren't strumming the whole thing, but it could be a mandolin.
That could be. I think that main part, that one that kind of like kind of like the leadish part, though it is quite soft.
Yeah,
is the mandolin, and then I would believe that to be a rhythm guitar outside of it, unless they had Tim Pierce layer tracks, which you could have also done.
Yeah, there's got to be a rhythm guitar. Right, it's in the music video.
Yeah, there's a rhythm guitar, and yeah, because you need to keep Resnick occupied. He's got to have his hands full of guitar, so he's playing the rhythm, I imagine.
They'll be very low down, but they got to have guitar in them.
Yeah.
It's a very like bright sound, I guess, because of that. It's a mandolin.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got that like buzzy thing.
Yeah. It's quite buzzy.
Kind of like. There's some like transitions that where you like they'll add a small thing and you didn't kind of realize you were missing it, and then when it's there, it just feels like better.
Right.
And they kind of do that in the start of this, like just going into the verse, because they do all the strumming in the intro with, I believe, the guitar and the mandolin. And then once they get into the verse, the bass just bum bum, and it's like, oh, that's simple. What I was missing. Oh, that's what we needed.
And like the very basic drum hits too. It was the bass and drum coming on like the same note. It's just like boom, tss, boom. Tss.
Yeah, and now you got like this rhythm section. It just feels much more grounded in a way. Yeah. I don't know. It just feels like you were like teetering somewhere high, and now it's like, okay, we've got both feet on the ground now.
Yeah, it kind of grounds it, and where you're in this almost. It's a very like almost hectic space with both the guitar and the mandolin going. It's like you said, there is no grounding. You're kind of swirling around in these arpeggios, and then boom, grounding of the bass, and then you get, of course, the vocal stylings of Jeremy Resnick. Just kidding, it's Johnny, right? Jeremy, it's my brother's name. Shout out your brother.
Shout out my brother. Just missed his birthday. Anyway,
damn.
So I was surprised by how much the bass made it feel different.
Yeah, despite it not doing really a lot.
Really much at all. Like I said, it's mostly just like roots on first.
Yeah.
Classic comedy routine, roots on first. So, what else happens? So then it does the first two verses. I feel like we haven't done a good old 2 verses in a row pop song in a while, but maybe I'm misremembering.
Yeah, because this one did like fuck me up a bit when I was like, why is the first verse so much longer than the second verse? So I was like, oh yeah, it's AABA. Like,
yeah. For some reason I feel like we haven't talked about this in a while, but I often forget these things. And
maybe it's just more obvious on this. I don't know.
Because it's where the strings come in.
Yeah.
Kind of that rising string. The other thing happening in this second verse, they double up the vocals. Overdub the vocals. It's like right on the last line. I just don't want to miss you tonight.
I just don't miss you tonight.
Which is, I think, a decent way to lead into the chorus. Often you'll intensify the last line in some way. So
without like highlighting it too much. It's not like a big fucking drum roll.
Yeah, it's considering like how much the strumming actually fills out the space,
Mm-hmm.
they do have a pretty big like jump once it hits the chorus, like in energy.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just digging into the strings a little more, like on the guitar and mandolin.
Yeah, and they're also, I mean, they were playing the bowed strings before,
Right.
but I feel like there's more.
Yeah, because they're pretty toned down, the strings in the verses. It's very low, just kind of space filling. You're right, and they do get a bit of lift on them for the chorus.
Yeah, and the other thing I was thinking about the strumming, because I kind of thought, what I thought was there was a 12-string guitar, and this might be happening. There's a mandolin as well, so that might be actually what this is. I thought there was a 12-string guitar that was kind of strumming, like softly strumming, like some of the strings.
Right.
And then when you hit the chorus, you just do the whole thing hard or harder.
Right. That would make sense.
Which
that would be
kind of makes sense, you know. It's kind of a funny sound to just like strum part of the strings because you're still getting the chord. It's just like much less than you expect from a full strum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I don't know if that's actually happening or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There is a 16-string orchestra on this, is the one thing I know about it.
16,
Yeah.
Wait, 16-piece string orchestra? Or
I would imagine. I imagine they don't count the individual strings.
Or like a quartet.
They call it 16-string orchestra is the
okay,
quote here,
well,
so.
I mean, they call it a quartet. It was a quartet, so.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we each have one string. There's 16 of us. That would be
like that instrument from the Come On Eileen music video, like the box with the one string on a stick.
Yeah, that might be a diddly bow. But I'm not 100%.
Different from Bo Diddley? Did Bo Diddley play the diddly bow?
A diddly bow might just be a one-string guitar, so it might be a different thing.
Okay. All right, Alex.
But I think he did at some point. Because I remember, because in the beginning, there's that documentary, It Might Get Loud. And in the very beginning, Jack White just like has a board and a nail and a string and like a pickup and a Coke bottle and he uses it to like build a one-string guitar. And I believe that is technically called a diddly bow.
Okay, I believe it. I remember that. And then he turns to the camera. He's like, "Who said you need to buy a guitar?" or something like that.
He probably bought that pickup, but anyway.
Probably bought that Coke bottle too.
Yeah, he probably bought that Coke. Drinking some Coca-Cola.
Drinking some cola. Alex, so back to this. Verse 2, kind of similar to verse 1, a little more loud, I think. I think instruments are played a little louder on this.
Yeah.
And then you get those same vocal harmonies on the last line. The, you bleed just to know you're alive.
Yep, yes.
And then we hit a bridge after the chorus there, which like takes us into a guitar solo. Very big, very uplifting.
Well, starts with the cello down like really in the low end there.
Yeah.
And then like that guitar comes back and does his da-na-na-na. Yeah.
It does do that.
It says this da-na-na-na, ba-na-na-na. I think it's...
What?
Yeah, no.
What do you
I don't
think?
have anything else to say about it, I think.
The guitar solo. Not that exciting and kind of long.
This is the one at 108?
I'm way ahead of that. That's like a bridge at 108.
Yeah, okay. That's what I thought.
No, you go to like 240, like 249.
Okay. Yep, guitar solo. Yeah, it doesn't do that much, right? It just holds the long notes.
Yeah, a lot of sustains, and then it goes on for pretty long considering
while, like half a minute kind of thing. But there's a lot of stuff still playing in the background, right?
Yeah, you still have this very like full, like hitting all these big dun, 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 notes and shit like it is.
You just get this like slightly fuzzy guitar, mostly holding like notes.
Yeah, it's a lot of holds. And then from there we go to a kind of breakdown with a little, I guess, like sort of a mandolin solo.
Yeah, it like
just kind of like
fades,
hits a couple
drops
notes.
way back down. The mandolin's kind of picking, just a very short. Yeah, very short. And then just like a lot of
outro
choruses and outro. Yeah,
yeah.
They go big in this back bit. Everything comes in because we were faded down until just now. Like the strings get pretty huge in the back too. We got 16 of them.
Oh yeah, they're massive.
So they got a lot to work with. But
yeah, so it like he pulls us in because it like fades right down. We just got a little mandolin, and then he hits the first line of the chorus, and then everything jumps in, and then it's like 2 minutes of chorus outro where these strings are giving it everything they got.
Yeah.
He's screaming about wanting you to know who he is. It's huge.
Yeah, because he just goes to that line for quite a while.
Yeah. And then from there,
you'd almost think it was the title of the song.
Intro. Yeah. It almost would have been the title of this song, except it fucking wasn't.
Except he saw the name Iris randomly. Iris, part of your eye. This song, sometimes about seeing things.
Sometimes about seeing. So you know what? It's actually like it works on another level.
Like it works. Although the iris is not a part of your eye that actually sees anything.
Right.
Although could any part of the eye be said to see anything other than perhaps the retina?
I guess. Well, it's the whole meal deal.
Yeah, it all works together, right?
All works together.
You need everything.
You gotta have it all. The weird thing is, I never found a quote on Iris Dement like saying anything about this song.
She's like, yeah, it's kind of cool. I feel like it's not well known enough. Like the song is, but that fact,
right? But that fact,
and like I don't know, maybe in country circles, she's clearly successful to some degree, but like maybe they just don't cross over.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe the people who interview country musicians don't also know this fun fact about the song Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls.
I guess you might be right there, Alex. But they might know that there's a music video for this.
Oh, there is a music video for this, and we've already mentioned it a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of discussed the main hook.
Yeah, and the main hook is that he's in, what did you call it?
A panopticon.
A panopticon. Yeah, he's like in this, I mean, it doesn't zoom out to show it's a tower, but he's looking down with his stuff, and you can see the city skyline in the background. Or it does kind of show it being a tower. But he's just in this like round thing full of, it's a tower. He's in like the top bit and it's full of telescopes, and he's also got some binoculars, and he's mostly just like looking down on stuff, and they're kind of cartoonish, right? Like some of them like curve and stuff. It's very like, maybe not very, but it reminded me of some like Tim Burton style stuff where it's like,
oh yeah, it helps that he's got his emo haircut.
He's got his emo
plays
haircut.
into that Tim Burton realm.
Yeah,
he just wheels around in this office chair.
Yeah,
and it's funny because he doesn't spend a lot of time on any one telescope.
He just looks and then like moves and looks.
Yeah,
picks up his binoculars, looks again.
My favorite is when he pulls out a small telescope, just like a handheld one to look through, and he's just like sitting in the middle. Yeah,
it's very. When it's showing the panopticon, it's very like dynamic. Like it's almost always moving in some way.
Yeah.
Like the camera in particular as well is almost always moving somewhere, unless it like cuts in close to his face. But like he rolls in his chair, it follows him, or like he kind of moves up a bit to adjust and look in a telescope. It's a lot of motion. Not always, but it's a lot of it. And it also is like doing weird stuff, like it'll do like slow frame rate and stuff. So things will get blurry or even just like change the focus to make things blurry.
Yeah, it was like they figured out during filming, they're like, well, it's not actually very exciting to see him sit in a room with a bunch of telescopes and
just
like
do
look
weird
at them.
Stuff with the camera. Throw on an old film grain sometimes. Or like it'll go, I mean, it's fairly exposed, but it'll go like more overexposed and the whites just get like blown out. That's the right word for that.
That is the right word.
And that's the kind of stuff you see in that part. But there's another half.
Yeah.
Which is like the band playing the song, and they're on a road like in a tunnel.
Yeah, they're in like some kind of major road tunnel.
Sometimes cars go by.
Yeah.
He's strumming a guitar. It's not always synced to the music. I'm watching it now. It's not as bad as it was in my head.
Okay, but it's sometimes very
But sometimes it's like, he's not doing that, is he?
No. Well, and they don't even have a mandolin player there, so what's the point? There's also shots on a street of guys just in the rain a couple times.
Oh yeah, so is that implying that like he's looking down, he sees them, and they're just like looking up at him? And it's like his mates, his bandmates.
Are they the world and they don't understand him? Is that what we're meant to...
He's like, I don't want those guys specifically to see me. They are the world.
Stop looking at me! That could be it.
I don't know. It's weird. The other thing, color-wise, the shots on the street are very blue, and the shots in the tower are very, like, yellow-orange.
Yellow-orange, yeah. That's contrast, baby.
Yeah.
Because, when we cut to those guys looking up, there's a shot of him standing over the edge of his tower there and looking down.
Yeah. And, so that was that point? Okay. I wasn't sure, because there's a few times where he looks like he's hanging off the edge, and I was not sure if it was meant to be like a suicide reference thing.
Yeah. This
seemed
feels
like
to me like...
But, I don't know.
Like half of a music video.
Two halves of different music videos.
Two halves of two different music videos. Because, like, we have a story of a guy in a tower of telescopes. We need to see what he's looking at, I feel like. And there should be a scene where I think he should jump off the tower at the end to touch love or whatever. And then he can either, I don't know, he just falls and dies and then everybody's terrified by it. Or it could be like, because the power of love, he like descends gently like an angel. It's got a cut, right? It's got to not show what happens. I don't know. Like a leap of... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It should be like the end of James Blunt's You're Beautiful.
More music videos should be like the end of James Blunt's You're Beautiful. Where he just jumps into the ocean.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah, it does feel like he's looking at something. Right. And maybe that's part of it. It's supposed to be like he just wants to be part of the world but doesn't want to be part of the world. And they've just like generalized it away from romance at all. Like it's just about wanting to be included in society or something, and feeling like you're left out or ostracized or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe, but it's unclear to me what's
maybe
the grand take.
You should use a telescope to get a closer look.
Hey, you know what we should take a closer look at, Alex, is all the covers of this song.
Yeah, there's several. There are at least multiple covers of this song.
There are at least multiples, and let me tell you, they are certainly covers of this song.
They sure are.
We're going to start in the year 2007 with Newfound Glory. Newfound Glory 2007.
Newfound Glory. We've talked about Newfound Glory before, right?
Florida. Yeah, we actually talked about this very album.
Oh, I didn't.
This album called From the Screen to Your Stereo Part 2 for the hit song The Promise, originally recorded by When in Rome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I've covered head over heels. Okay.
Alt rock, pop punk, hardcore vibes. These guys are basically emo, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, they're considered like, according to their Wikipedia page, which they may have written themselves, they're considered fairly like important in the development of this second wave of pop punk.
I believe that. I remember the name Newfound Glory getting passed around a lot.
Okay, I missed out on them entirely.
I mean, it was my siblings listening to them, not me.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. But they are pop punk, and they that's what this one is. Obviously, we see this in rock and roll style covers quite a bit. You take the strings out, you use the guitars instead, crank up the distortion, and you go. Now, the original was, I think, fairly, I'll say, informed by grunge in the sense that it was like a fair contrast, verse to chorus.
Yes.
They had really big choruses, and then they dropped down quite a bit for the verses. And this kind of also, it feeds into this quite a bit because it's just the other style, a different style where you use guitar distortion more prominently.
Right. You're right. So it does still have that verse low, chorus big, but we lose out on some of the texture that the original has. Of course, you take out a 16-string orchestra,
you're gonna lose some texture. Yeah.
But I think that is unfortunately like a mark against this one, is it does feel just a bit flatter, because it's like, oh, we moved from distorted guitar in the verse to distorted guitar in the chorus. Okay, that's
yes, it's just like
not much of a change at all.
Yeah, it's not. It's another. It's fairly archetypal to me. Archetypal.
Archetypical.
Yeah, trying to combine words together.
It is of archetypes.
Yeah. In the sense that I'm like, yeah, this sounds like pop punk. This sounds like the pop punk version of this song. And maybe if they're like important to the development of the genre, like, okay, that's their sound, and we just got used to it. But that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, like the guitar sounds are very like of that era of pop punk. Even the way they handle like the little chug bits, and
it's a lot of chugging.
You can find that in these. Yeah, so these guys are really giving you the archetype pop punk.
Yeah, I mean they speed it up too and like do less soloing. So like
that's true.
Yeah, makes sense.
But
it's
they
also
do still have that like similar solo of just like sustains, like a lot of holds.
Oh, they do. Then maybe it's just faster because it's like quite a bit shorter.
Yeah, they lop off about a minute and a half here.
Yeah, maybe they just do less outro stuff because there's a lot of outro stuff.
Yeah.
In the original.
He has a little trouble with the word broken.
Really? I didn't notice.
I feel like he doesn't hit that R quite right.
I didn't notice. What are you
Everything's made to be broken.
Broken.
But maybe I just
man,
like to
that's the Florida accent. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah, definitely. You notice in Tom Petty songs a lot too. You're right.
Tom Petty.
The R hard to hit.
You don't have to live like an refugee. Classically.
Is he talking about effigies? What's going on in this song?
Very confusing song. No one knew what the word was until, you had to get the record, and when it was just on the radio, everyone was confused.
Yeah, you had to hear him intro it on the radio. It's just tough. It's confusing times. No, you're right. This one is kind of just like, hey, have you heard of pop punk?
But like, it's not bad, really. Like, it's fine.
It's fine. I think that my problem is that the Goo Goo Dolls are emo enough, even in their version, that like we don't really gain anything from the Newfound Glory version.
It's just a slightly different style.
Just like a slight, and I think like vocally, a lot of what drives the Goo Goo Dolls' success is this dude fucking, he sounds like he's pouring his heart out, whereas in this one he just sounds like he's kind of emo. One of the things,
fair enough.
Yeah, like pop punk, for better and worse, has like high connotations to like middle school energy, which there's a lot to like gain from that, but also in this one it maybe kind of loses the weight that the Goo Goo Dolls had in their version,
because it feels more perhaps
juvenile,
yes,
adolescent,
exactly.
Perhaps. But that's just me saying words, Alex.
That's all any of this is us saying words.
Well, we also insert clips from the song, so it's not just.
Oh, you're right.
It's not just us, Alex. Speaking of people we've talked about a lot, I'm sure we've talked about Iron Horse as well, but this is Iron Horse and Pickin' On in 2009.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand when
Pickin' On. We have talked about Pickin' On a fair amount, and there's kind of different artists that work with Pickin' On, which is a series that does covers that are like country pickin' bluegrass
and all of
stuff.
these artists are under the CMH Records label, who does Pickin' On.
Yeah, so I don't know that we've done Iron Horse specifically, but we probably have.
I've certainly seen the name come up when I've like farmed for covers, but I don't know if I ever chose to cover them. So they're like Iron Horse is a bluegrass band from Killin, Alabama.
Killin. Iron Horse.
And they do covers. That's their thing. So they do bluegrass covers. So this is
another song. Like, is there another group called Iron Horse that's also from Alabama, but they're from Muscle Shoals? Anyway,
Muppet Hills. Is that what you said?
Hills? Muscle Shoals. I only bring it up because I like the name of the place. Muscle Shoals. I'm on a website, ironhorsebluegrass.com.
I'm Alex Mildenberger, and I'm on a website.
I'm on a website.
Right on, brother.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. They're from Alabama either way.
They're from Alabama. I think for listeners who are like, can you please tell us what this sounds like? In the same way that Newfound Glory was like, what if Iris was genre? You guys know that's what Pickin' On is. What if
that's like
Iris...
their whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
and like the stretch isn't even that far because like Mandolin is on the original. And that's got big country vibes. So they ride on that a lot.
Yeah, honestly, like I was listening, I was like, oh, when are the vocal harmonies going to come in? Boom. On the chorus, as expected.
It is like campfire country.
Yep. There's kind of two. There's like a strumming guitar and a picking guitar. You got to have a picker and a strummer. This is Pickin' On, so you at least have to have a picker. But they also
contractually mandatory.
Yeah. Some of the bits where they do like the fast strumming, Road to El Dorado style. Second reference to Road to El Dorado in this episode.
Count it.
That's two. See if we can make another one later on. Something about maybe an armadillo. We'll see.
Okay, yeah, or like Loaded Die.
If only Elton John was on this episode. Doesn't matter.
Elton John Dorado.
He did the soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a lot of those like it's nice harmonies. It's pretty decent sounding guitar, but this one also slows it down quite a bit, and it's quite long.
And like completely flattens it. Whereas like in Newfound Glory, you can tell the verse and chorus are different. If you're not fucking like ear to the record,
that was
how I
listen
to this.
Decision.
Like, it's weird to not have any real change up.
Like except for the other voice comes in, but I think it just stays.
Yeah,
and then they have like 3 parts of the harmony, just for the rest.
Yeah, they like and. Nothing, like no big changes here. This one was so boring to me.
Oh no, they do drop out for the verse, but still, most of it has the harmonies on it. It's not that much of a change.
It's not much of a change. It sounds to me like you could use this for like a video for a charity, like if a fire or
something sad
happened in Alabama, and they're just showing like footage of the wreckage,
broken.
And they're like, you can donate to help rebuild the town of Killen, Alabama.
Oh, rest in peace, Killen. I will say it because it sort of plods. It got almost like kind of hypnotic by the end. You know, it sort of lulls you. It got me into a bit of like a lulled state where I was like, yeah, all right. But honestly, yeah. But if you don't get to that, then yeah, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, and there is something to that take. Like there is like the sad, whether it's a campfire or like country saloon where people are, you know, drinking a beer together to this song and being like, damn, life is hard.
Yeah, but let's commiserate and also harmonize.
Yeah, but there's not enough like going on to bring those vibes to me, for me to feel that and to feel that this is
and it takes a while to get to that point. So like it's almost not long enough, but also too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So there's some harmonics at the end. That's the other element I wanted to point out. But that's pretty much it. Because it's fairly like you said, they don't switch it up very much. They don't switch it up very much. I'm trying to mumble less.
Don't switch it up.
And not saying like they don't switch it up.
You are correct. There is you were just saying I was correct. So you're correct in saying that I'm correct.
No, I'm glad we're both correct about
That's
you being
my
correct.
hot take. Alex, let's talk about the sequel to Boyz. Boyz 2, Men, 2009.
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand. When everything's meant to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And you can't fight the tears that ain't coming, or the moan.
Oh, I hope you've made that joke before.
I hope so too, because it sounds like I would have. And we have talked about Boyz II Men before.
Talked about Boyz II Men. They are a pretty successful vocal R&B group.
Yeah, they They do a collab with Mariah Carey, I think. That was
that was a
voted
big one.
like the number one collab between artists over Under Pressure, which I still think is insane, but
I don't really know that song.
yeah, so like to me it's like some song I don't know versus a song I know very well.
Do you know? Well, what the hell?
Yeah, but Boyz II Men, Voices
pull?
of Angels. And so, yeah, what do you expect from this version? A pretty close instrumental track with the boys just going ham with vocals over top of it.
Yeah, they don't change a whole lot structurally. It's that said, like there's like a piano in. It feels like there's more strings. There's probably no more strings. And they don't have the guitars. But they do have like piano, and I think I heard an EP and like some synth.
Right. It does open with a guitar. Or a mandolin, I'm not sure.
Or it doesn't have like the really distorted guitars.
Yeah, we don't have the alt rock elements.
Yeah. But yeah, it's all in the voice. And what do you expect? It's Boyz II Men.
Boyz II Men.
Like if this wasn't a good vocal performance, we wouldn't hear it.
We wouldn't hear it. Oh, they waste no time getting into the kick flips and tricks of the vocal chords, you know?
Yes, there's
it's
a
like
lot
line
of
one.
those.
He's like, and I don't know.
Yeah, little runs.
What the fuck? Like, yeah, he's doing runs left and right.
Things. Probably there's other words that could describe what they're doing. Flourishes.
Riffs, licks.
Hooks? No.
Hooks. They're doing hooks, brother.
They're doing hooks. Dabs, yeah. Single syllable verbs mostly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the tracks in the background, we're listening to their voices. They sound great. It's very nice harmonies. I also like the escalation of the vocals throughout the song. They do a pretty good build there.
Yeah.
And they also add a new section.
Yeah, so instead of doing the guitar solo, because like you mentioned, they don't have a guitar, they do like a vocal improv solo. Not scat, but
like they like have new lines basically.
Yeah, no one knows me quite the way you know me. I'd be lonely without you beside me. Please believe me, you're the closest to heaven that I ever met.
Yeah, but it's all kind of over the like bada on the strings.
Yeah, over those strings. And I almost thought that was the end because they do like a fake out. Because everything stops at the end of that like vocal section for like a second. And I was like, oh, that's a very cool way to end this. And then they keep going.
But no, they do like the long outro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, lots of chorus, lots of exciting strings because they really do pump up the strings to the front. There might even honestly be some distorted guitar in there. I'm trying to listen for it. I don't have the best headphones on right now.
I do have the best headphones on right now.
Oh,
best I own anyway. Thank you. I'm very proud of it. I don't hear distorted guitar.
Okay.
And I think if you think about what Boyz II Men is and what they're doing here, like
it does make sense.
It doesn't make sense. Like the Goo Goo Dolls talk about making this song and how big of a departure it is from their regular stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think just them being an alt rock band is why the distorted guitar is in there. Whereas Boyz II Men, R&B, like doesn't really have a long history of distorted guitar in it.
Certainly not in the in the alt rock way.
Yeah, and so they don't need that. They're focusing on the softness and tenderness and like hard hittingness of the original, which is brought in by strings and sweet vocals of Boyz II Men.
Yeah.
In this version, like that's the elements they're focusing on. So I don't think there is distorted guitar.
Yeah, it makes sense. The last thing that happens, they got like a little outro. It kind of cuts down to
la 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 la.
Yeah, they're most again still mostly voice, but it's like soft voice. And then it's kind of supported with that guitar strumming, and then the piano still playing. It goes on for a while. This one's shorter, I think, mostly just because they're like, we don't have time for guitar solos. Like,
right? Yeah, you're about a minute shorter.
We're not doing
and that's
that.
Give or take about the length of the guitar
but
solo.
Yeah, makes sense. So that's that one. It's pretty cool. These guys usually do a good job of their thing, and they sound good.
Yeah, do you want me to like say whether the Boyz II Men are good vocalists or not? Yes, they are.
Like, yeah, of course they are.
Of course they are. That's their whole fucking thing.
Yeah. So they do it. They do it good.
And they do it good. And yeah, like the instrumentation isn't brave or exciting, but they use it to support what Boyz II Men produces.
Which is good
solid,
voice sounds.
sensible.
Yeah.
Good sounds. Let's talk about Tangerine Dream in 2010,
Please,
Alex.
let's talk about Tangerine Dream.
I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they understand. When everything's made to be broken, I just want you.
A band with a long history.
Yeah, apparently. In fact, after I listened to this playlist, I forgot to hit the loop thing, and it just went into
Tangerine
random.
Dream.
Yeah, Tangerine Dream. Like
that literally happened to me this
Tangerine
morning
Dream on Spotify. And there's a lot of it, or they've been around for a long time anyway.
Founded in 1967.
Yeah, it's a long time ago.
Unreal. Only one consistent band member up until he died in 2015, Edgar Froese. They're German. I don't know how to say that last name.
Edgar Froese. Something like Froese.
Froese, yeah.
Or Froese.
Froese, it's got to be.
But I'm like looking, I don't, I can't really read IPA. And this one's not giving me any hints, so.
Okay. Well, I think I've heard the SE being a S.
Yeah.
In German. So he died in 2015 and like picked an heir. Like he had like an heir to the Tangerine Dream throne, and that person is currently fronting the band.
It's a Thorsten.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, they're still going.
They're still going.
Completely
They helped
new
create the
lineup.
soundtrack for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, good.
They're considered
really?
a pioneering electronica act.
Yeah, electronica. So I looked up electronica just out of curiosity, and according to Wikipedia, electronica is both. Okay, it says both, but I only copied one of the things. It's a broad group of electronic-based music styles intended for listening rather than strictly dancing. And
I would believe.
Allegedly one other thing, but I forgot to copy that.
I would honestly even just take off the differentiation of dancing. I would just say like electronica refers to like very specifically like synth-based music, like music that isn't using traditional instruments.
Yeah, it gets used very broadly.
It is a
and
very
a music
broad
scene
term.
that started in the early 90s in the United Kingdom. That's the other thing.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense for this. This doesn't necessarily feel like a danceable track, so yeah, using that Wikipedia definition I think checks out here.
Yeah, they keep it like kind of mellow and a bit sad. It's a bit sad.
Yeah, a bit sad, though that there's a bit of like tension at the start with the
There's definitely the synth creates some good tension. Particularly the sound of that. And we kind of talked about having some tension at the start of the original just because there wasn't like a low end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it has that as well. But then you have kind of the texture from the synthesizers. And there's a guitar playing too.
Yeah.
But most of it is based around this sort of pulsing synth. So there's like two pulsing synths, one that just goes pretty regularly.
Yeah, that like
and then like a higher one that phases in and out. Like every once.
Yeah.
And honestly, like that's kind of that's the core of it to me.
Yeah, with a very like detached vocal performance.
Yeah, that you might expect from German electronic music.
Yeah.
But
it's
the
funny because
detachment
there's
kind of works with
two vocalists on this. Yeah, go ahead.
There are two vocalists on this.
Yeah.
And because they're German, I'm always listening for like fun little strange pronunciations of things of English words. And honestly, it's pretty good until I have a timestamp 151 when like within a short period of time they both say something in a strange way.
Oh, okay. I catch it right on the chorus when the second singer comes in. I think he's got a stronger accent, or maybe it comes from singing a little harder, but the way he says don't kind of just tells that he's like, I don't want the world to see me.
Yeah. It's really weird because like this one bit where they say like everything's made to be broken, and it's like that doesn't even sound like a German accent to me.
Oh yeah, they almost sound like chavs there. Yeah. Oh, everything's made to be broken, bro.
Yeah, so weird. Although that I have definitely heard like German primary German speakers.
I've also heard German people
who, because I mean, they're like their English version of the like German English accent is closer to an English accent because their pronunciations would be more British,
right?
Because it's right there. They're really close.
Yeah, that's who's nearby. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, sometimes.
Yeah, that makes sense. I believe that. Yeah, so that's some of the bigger moments. What else is exciting in this?
Yeah,
it gets louder in the chorus.
Yeah, I did like. I mean, it made me think of Iron Horse a bit, but then like, because it's not as dynamic, but they're definitely more like varied in terms of the sounds they use. So it's a bit more interesting in terms of that, and especially like we talked about the tension. Having that tension really helps.
Yeah, just to give us a different note to like, ooh, this song's sad. So we get a bit of like the tension of sadness.
Yeah, they really go for the kind of, like, to me, like bittersweet yearning.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
There is something in just like the vocal performance and like the use of synth that is like an 80s kind of end of a sad movie where like there's still like a silver lining. Which
might be true of City of Angels.
Well, yeah, because he learns to enjoy being human in the end. She dies, and then he's like, damn, I can feel the wind on my face, and that's kind of cool.
And I can eat this pear.
And he fucking loves pears. He's got so many of them in his hands. He's like, oh, damn, I can't hold all these pears.
He's better carry these pears home. Oh, no, I don't want to go home right now.
Oh. Gotta be tough, though. They should do a sequel where he has to, like, get a social insurance number and stuff.
And then he sees that it's called a SIN number, and he's like, what have I done?
There's a guitar solo in this one as well.
Yeah.
Pretty similar to the original.
Yeah, it's a guitar. I briefly thought it could be a synthesizer, but yeah, it's guitar sound.
Yeah, it might even be run through a synth. Like,
I mean, you gotta. It sounds
you gotta.
But yeah, it's a pretty close cover structurally, but it does, I think, change up the mood and the feel a fair bit.
Yeah, and maybe it's because I'm dumb and I like the 80s, but it is pulling on like 80s style of synth and stuff in my ears, so I feel like that makes it palatable to me.
Versus the less engaging Iron Horse, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, it's cool. It's a cool cover.
Yeah, cool little cover. Let's talk about an artist who I thought was much older than they are. Leona Lewis in 2011.
I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand.
Based on
Name alone.
Yeah, it does sound
Leona
like
Lewis.
Leona Lewis, yeah, 20s jazz singer, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, maybe she's alive in like the 50s or something. And then it's like, no, she got famous on The X Factor in 2006 with a cover of A Moment Like This by Kelly Clarkson.
Yeah.
This is as like reality TV famous as you can get.
Yeah, it's like 2 factors removed. Or X factors. Anyway. She has a song in the movie Avatar. That's fun.
Which, like Avatar, like the James Cameron, or Avatar, like the Last Airbender? Okay, yeah. I always forget the Last Airbender. Yeah, James Cameron. Yeah.
Oh, I guess there is a Last Airbender movie.
We've seen it.
Yeah, I was sleeping for most of that.
Good call.
Yeah. This is, okay, it's not just a slow piano version, but it does start out as a slow piano version.
It's certainly mostly. It's like, and the piano is like, what if you took Runaway by Kanye West and added a second note for the piano to play? So that one's like, ding, 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 and this one's like, ding, ding. It's like only slightly more complex.
Slightly. It has a pretty significant build.
Yeah.
It goes from like go in the beginning and it is like piano and like super close mic, and then a bunch of stuff happens, which I can describe, but for the purposes of this statement, by the end, she's, like not shouting, but like singing loud, and like there's huge strings.
Yeah, like huge strings, these huge drum hits. Dum, dum, dum. Yeah. Like, and it goes from being close mic to being like this belter, like power ballad.
Absolutely. And that's kind of, to me, the appeal of this one. Especially because when it started, I was like, oh, another slow piano cover. Oh.
Yeah, like we're going to be small and just kind of like whatever about this. Yeah, when this song is meant, like there's a reason it's like 2 minutes of chorus at the end in the original version. It's because that's what you're supposed to do, is just belt this chorus for 2 to 4 minutes and then be done.
And this really focuses on that idea. And I think in that sense, it's quite successful. I always respect at least a good gradual build throughout a song. And this has that. More things that build, brings in, starts piano close mic, brings in strings, and then sort of it hits a chorus, so it gets a bit bigger. The kit drums come in and the voice jumps up, but then it chops back down afterwards. And then, now we get a big string build. And it's kind of... There's like a bit in the third verse where like we're pretty high up instrumentally, but her voice goes back down. So you're like, and not everything's quite there yet. So we got to do the big breakout. And then of course we get into the chorus and boom, everything's huge.
Huge. Yeah. Yeah. And she's got a good voice on her. Obviously she won the X Factor. She has to have a good voice.
Yeah. Real like pop voice, good sounding. So I think strikes me as successful, but then I'm like, I don't know. I'm probably not going to listen to it again.
Yeah, it does. It begs the same question. Like, why would I listen to this over the original?
Which I guess is kind of a question we always ask ourselves.
Yeah, that is like in some ways the ultimate question of this, and I don't know that it provides a satisfactory answer to that.
This is a good one for like a concert hall. Yeah,
I
feel like this would be really awesome to see in a concert hall.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think versions like this, and even like Boyz II Men to an extent, where they kind of like soften the instrumentation. I'm always like, well, this is for somebody's mom who thinks like the Goo Goo Dolls are a little too like risque or whatever. They're like, oh, that's too much. Like, well, here, what about Leona Lewis?
I like their songs, but I don't know about that name. What's a Goo Goo?
Yeah, what's a Goo Goo? Why is there a doll version of it?
Yeah.
I guess it's just like baby dolls. The Goo Goo Dolls.
I'm also like generally somewhat turned against, I don't know, anyone involved with talent shows.
Reality talent. I'm certainly
shows, which is not fair, but I definitely have that like in my mind where I'm like, oh, what? The X Factor? I got no time for this.
But I think the version does what it's supposed to do well. I think, like, ultimately, Iris is a sappy song. Like, we kind of talked about how, like, we don't even, it's not like either one of us loves this song. We don't hate it,
True.
but
except we can't avoid, like, I can't not sing along or, like, occasionally get it stuck in my head and shout out something about everything being made to be broken.
Yeah, it is like the song itself. It talks about inevitability. The song itself is in some ways inevitable, so we've just come to accept it.
Yeah, and also another thing, I was thinking about the lyrics, like, I always assumed I was kind of wrong about what they were, but no. Mm-hmm. Well, I know the chorus, but...
Right.
No, I was right. Like, they're not that obscure or anything.
It's very, like, on the nose, and I think that's probably part of why it connects with people so easily, is because there's not a lot of, like, well, what does he really mean? It's like... Yeah. It's all there, man.
Yeah.
Like, whether you've seen City of Angels or not, it's all pretty much on the surface.
Yeah, so all that is to say, pretty decent cover, honestly.
So yeah, like a very
but I have
song.
Apparently an internal struggle about actually admitting it.
I agree with you, because it does just feel like sanded down. It's the same reason I don't like the Carpenters, even though people are like, the Carpenters are incredible. I'm like, yeah, but they sound like they're for easy listening, and I don't like that.
Like, I can accept that they're skilled musicians and performers.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like, that doesn't mean I want to listen to what they create.
Yeah, exactly. People like Karen Carpenter has the most beautiful voice. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I just get mad about it. I feel like I should like the Carpenters because so many musicians that I like the Carpenters. I'm like, oh, what's wrong with me, man? What's wrong with me? But yeah, so that's also how I feel here. I'm like, yeah, Leona Lewis sounds great on this. Oh, it's just a little too, like, too easy to swallow, though.
Yeah, the cover art of this, she's looking a little 60s as well with that.
Oh, yeah.
Hair?
Yeah.
Is it her hair?
The hair and the lighting.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, I said as well, but I just wanted to point that out. in the early 70s. Anyway,
let's point out that we need some Canadian content on this episode.
We do.
And who better to be Canadian than Christopher Dallo in 2012?
And I don't want the world to see me, 'cause I don't think that they'd understand when everything's made to be broken. I just
yeah, he's a real singer guy. He's a big singer. Okay, so he's a good singer, but also, as ever, I'm not a huge fan of his self-description on his website.
Oh, yeah. Hit me with that quote. I know what you're going to say.
You know what he's going to say? Where he says that his voice is so powerful and clear that it allows him to sing any type of song from any genre or era. And that's a big claim.
That's a big claim and also a nonsense claim.
Yeah, it's a nonsense claim, but I think I figured it out. I think there's some weasel words in there. I think it's not saying what it sounds like it's saying, because it sounds like he can sing any song in any genre, which is ridiculous because he only basically chooses to sing songs in one genre. I went through some of his music.
Okay.
But he says from any genre, and he has a wide vocal range. Cool. He can probably sing any song or most songs, but I mean, he does slow ballads. Like, he sings slow ballads. That's what he does.
with the big rich tenor voice. Like,
right?
it's
like he's in
one lane. Like, he's not doing.
His voice isn't suited to any genre. He's not going to be like, well, today I'm going to sing. I mean, he could sing a Bruce Springsteen song or a rock and roll song.
Right.
But
as he does here.
As he does. But although this is, it's in the ballad, power ballad area, and he switches it into that, right?
Right.
So but really, it's not, if it's just like a gruff song, he's not going to sing. Here's a better example, like LaGrange, like that. He's not suited to that.
No. So the quote really is like, his hammer is so powerful that anything can be a nail.
Exactly. But he's still, and honestly, yeah, he's a really good singer.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but also even his description of himself, he calls him a tenor. Like, it only matters that you're a tenor in a fairly narrow range of vocal genre, right?
Yeah,
his style cares that he's a tenor, but many others, it wouldn't really matter. So he's in that lane. And he stays in that lane, but the description is just makes it out to be very grand. Maybe he didn't write it. He probably has a publicist that wrote it, honestly. Whatever.
The truth is, anyone can sing any type of song from any genre or era, right?
It's just a funny claim, is all.
It's a very funny claim.
You can market yourself in a more honest way, I feel. I don't know. It's
transforming pop hits into powerful tenor ballads or whatever. You can transform any song from any genre into some shit your mom would listen to on Christmas. You could do different wording to give a more clear picture of what he is.
Yeah. Follow up. Is this album art? His last name is written in. Is that the Ellen font?
Yeah, it is too.
It looks like it.
But he should take over the Ellen show.
He should be the next Ellen.
Yeah.
Imagine. Anyway, yeah. So he's a more classically trained singer. He's a tenor. Yeah. That's his range, but also he's got a fairly broad range, so I don't really know. I guess tenor is more about timbre. I don't know. I'm not an expert. I've heard that, though. So it's got a pretty good sound to it. He gets the orchestra. It's more than just strings, so there's piano in the intro. Sounds nice. The verse, there's guitar playing and play some harmonics. Some flutes come in and kind of gets more complex as it goes. You get more strings, as many of them do. There's a lot of that kind of stuff.
I did like hearing the flutes here, and his voice is good. We kind of talked about what it is. It's a real classical music approach. What
tenor
drives me insane though is at so the chorus starts at about 111, and that's where these bonus strings come in. This.
Wait, what was the
111
timestamp? 111. Okay.
And that sound to me is so specifically attributed to corporate promo music.
Oh, it's the background music from do you feel a little off?
Yeah,
do you feel like you should be getting more out of your insurance policy?
Exactly. It's here at TD Trust.
Yeah. I totally hear it. I totally hear it now.
And now it's all I can hear, and it It's not good.
That's so funny. Okay, so questionable choice on the guitar arpeggios, my friend.
Yeah.
I was a little iffy on the drum sound, so I have I feel like his like snare drum is weird. 243 is my timestamp.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Like it's just like it's a bit much. I don't know.
Yeah, the
Maybe
sound
it's a
on it
specific
is
thing.
bad.
Yeah, I feel like that could have used some, but
Even in
there are,
like around 135, like in the second verse, it just like it sounds like shit. It's just like tip, 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 tip.
yeah, there are. I don't know. So the drums maybe could have used a bit of work. But I mean, honestly, there are entire Metallica albums that I've heard that about. So it happens.
Right.
It happens to the best of us, and the Metallicaist of us.
Yeah.
I honestly don't know where Metallica sits.
They sit
in that
somewhere on the
hierarchy.
chart of music
Like,
quality.
yeah. People like Metallica. I like some Metallica.
Yeah. I liked when we talked about Nothing Else Matters.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was cool.
So no shades of Metallica, but they've been uneven over the years, right? Like any group.
For sure. Oh, yeah, like any group. You got some highs, you got some lows.
Yeah. Anyway.
To bring it back to CD here, Christopher
CD.
Dallo, CD's nuts. Do you think I think this version might be better if we cut out most things and
think
just
it's too
focus
much?
on his vocals and like maybe a piano.
Maybe it's a mixing problem. I mean, the drums certainly
It could
are.
be. The drums for
or
sure
could
are.
probably be helped with that. Like it's a production issue.
Yeah, it may be because I think he's got a great voice.
Yeah.
And I watched a bit of him performing it live. He seems like a nice, sweet fella. He's like, oh, I love this
Yeah,
song.
and
It's
if
like,
I'm
I say
correct,
about
there are a
all these
few live
songs.
versions, I think. But I think we watched
Yeah.
the same one, and that's basically just piano, right?
Yeah.
So
like, why does this version exist?
yeah, I don't know. Sometimes, I mean, production, it's hard.
Mhm.
And I also there was a local artist that I remember. We used to go to their shows a lot. It was someone. I'm trying to be very vague about this. Someone my
Right.
brother dated used to perform a lot,
Oh,
and
okay, this is why
they
it'd be
like
vague.
did a recording, and I just feel like I didn't like the way I really liked seeing them live.
Mhm.
Because they were really good live. But when they put that, it was like their first EP kind of thing, and it was cool.
Right,
And it was
so
like
they laid
fine,
down the
but I really
tracks.
didn't like how they mixed the vocals. And it's like I really like their voice, but they kind of tried to do I don't know. So production's hard, is what I'm saying, and you can really kill it in the mix sometimes. So
For
I feel
sure.
like this one suffers for it. I
Yeah,
mean, we're pointing
I
out
think you're right.
specific arrangement and like sound and mixing issues. So
Yeah.
they
And
exist
if
in
we're
this version.
clowning on you, like it can't
Yeah.
be that good.
Yeah. So this one probably could have been saved with some different philosophy behind it.
Yeah. If you got Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden to come in and do a remix.
Come in and do a remix. Yeah, exactly. So it's there somewhere. There's a really good version here, I think, somewhere. But it
Somewhere.
didn't quite translate into reality.
Yeah. Because, like, theoretically, Christopher Dallo's strengths are pretty similar to Leona Lewis. You get a person with a big set of pipes on him to bang this song out.
Yeah.
And in that regard, similar to Boyz II Men. Like, they're all coming with
Yeah.
the same kind of, like, take. But his definitely, I think, is the weakest of those.
Yeah.
And,
Boy, one.
Yeah, I think it's in
man.
the production.
There's only
Boy,
one of him.
one
I don't
man.
know. Yeah.
Yes, but let's talk about all these songs. Let's talk about three categories: the worst version, the best version, and the version that you would play for an angel who had just descended to earth. Which one would be most beloved by the divine?
Which one would be most beloved by the divine? Okay. Okay.
Or which one do you think Nicolas Cage would like? Pretty much the same question.
Yeah, same question. Same question.
Same question. Alex, worst version of this, what is it?
Worst version. It's probably Pickin' On. Just because it was quite flat. Although, they had decent harmonies. I didn't hate any of these, but I honestly also didn't love any of them either.
Yeah, it's a very midweek.
It's a close race on both ends, and I think
Mhm.
at this moment Iron Horse is edging out the other ones, but it's close.
It's close. Yeah, I'm gonna give it to because the thing is, like you said, Iron Horse you can get hypnotized in and kind of just like relax.
Yeah, that was
for
cool.
me, with Christopher Dallo, I cannot. Those strings take me right out.
Right, it doesn't quite get there.
So I cannot experience the joys of his rich tenor voice.
But do you want to experience the joys of a comprehensive insurance policy that allows you to bundle home, auto, and life insurance?
Tell me more. Yes, I do. Alex, what's the best version of this?
What is the best version of this? Some decent ones. I think it's Tangerine Dream. It's Tangerine Dream. I did like the vibe they created with their sort of soundscape. And it's always fun to hear some synth.
Yeah.
And also German accents that
German
are only
accents. Yeah, that's a bit of
sometimes
fun.
showing up. That's always a good time.
Yeah, I also want to give it to Tangerine Dream. I don't know if that's just because I'm like fascinated by just discovering this group through this. And I'm like, oh, wow, what an interesting,
like long-lived thing.
long-lived project. Or if I genuinely like the cover. I do think I like some things about the cover. I think you're also right when you said it's a pretty tight competition on both ends of the field here. Like, it's not like a real standout here. So I think I'll go with you on Tangerine Dream because I do like the synth. It is a sound that plays to my needs and my things that I like. So yeah, Tangerine Dream, 2010. Alex, Nick Cage, the divine being, has just descended to Earth, and he's never heard music before, and you have to play him Iris.
I have to play him Iris.
What version of Iris are you playing him?
I mean, just because it's the closest to sounding angelic, probably Boyz II Men. They got the voice of an angel. Voice of several angels. The other option is Newfound Glory. Sounds vaguely Christian.
Oh yeah.
Even though it probably isn't. I don't know. But no, I'm going with Boyz II Men.
Okay.
The sequel to Boyz.
I could choose Christopher Dallo to kind of try to drive him back to heaven. Like, get out.
Get out of here.
Listen to this. Yeah, fuck off.
See if they take him with. They're like, oh, that's a nice voice. He should ascend.
I think I'm going to give him Leona Lewis, though. A little bit of dynamics, some sweet piano. Show him what we can do with just a little bit.
Show him the broad range of dynamics.
Yeah, and show them what our talent shows are all about, because they're going to be mad about talent shows when they get down here.
You're like, there's some good things that come out of this, too.
I'll be like, listen, Leona
Don't
Lewis,
condemn all of us, please.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with this.
I had nothing to do with this. I'll play you Bleeding Love later. You might like that. But listen to Leona Lewis. That's how I'm going to... I assume angels are going to be mad when they come down here. I don't know.
You have to assume.
You got to assume. It's a long trip. At the very least, they're going to be grumpy.
Yeah, infinity's a long way.
It's a long ways to go, and they came all this way for what? For what?
It's 6 trillion light years away, actually. Yeah.
How did you... Wait, what are you using to calculate that?
Oh, just one Paul Simon song.
Oh, okay, sick. Thank you, Paul Simon, for doing
Yeah, that's a Paul Simon reference.
Perfect. What song is that?
Cool Papa Bell. It's a recent one.
Okay, that makes sense why I don't know it. Also, that could have been a made-up Paul Simon track. I would have believed you.
Could have made it all up.
Sounds like some shit he would say. Cool
Yeah.
Papa Bell. Also a good nickname for our friend John Bell.
Yeah, he used to go by Papa on that was his gamer tag.
Was his gamer tag.
Yeah. Anyway, and he's cool, so the song's about
cool.
him.
Shout out to Cool Papa Bell. Shout out to you, our listeners, who if you have a similar, different, or opinion of any kind that you want to talk to us about regarding this song, you want to talk about one of the cover versions we didn't talk about, of which there are a ton, hit us up on Twitter, #CoverMePod, @JakeTheCressy, @SomAlexWiseGuy. Send us your comments, questions, concerns, suggestions for future episodes. You can also email those to us at covermepod@gmail.com. Tell your friends and family and neighbors about us. Be sure to rate and review us. We're on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, your favorite podcasting app. Tell everybody that you know. Today, the trick is, depending on where you are, I mean, there's a lot of pollen kind of settling on things, maybe some dust on cars. Just write Cover Me Pod in any dirty cars you see.
Yeah, you can write Wash Me Too.
Yeah.
But also write Cover Me Pod.
Cover Me Pod. And then if we get in trouble,
if you can do an @ do the @ Don't worry about it, though.
Do the @. We hold no responsibility for anybody claiming damages over Cover Me Pod being written in the dirt on their car. If you're doing this, it's of your own volition. You got to take the hit. We can't take the fall for any fights that occur because you're writing in people's cars.
Like, listen to us, but also take responsibility for your actions.
That's right. Take responsibility for your actions, or find a better way to advertise us. That does it for today's episode of Cover Me, though. And as we always say on Cover Me, yeah, you cover me just to know you're alive.